Welcome to Cyber Materials Ask Me Anything Cyber, a fun, interactive weekly event for everything cybersecurity. Join us every week at noon Eastern Time for a high-energy, quick-hit recap of the week's biggest cyber stories, from data breaches and threat intel to major legal updates. Whether it's a high-profile hack, a new APT on the rise, or a must-attend summit, we've got it covered. But that's not all. We'll also break down the latest job market trends, share our thoughts on cyber stocks, and give you actionable insights to stay ahead. And of course, we wrap things up with what makes this show special: live Q&A with you. Have a question about a breach? Want to know how a threat works? Curious about getting started in cyber? Let us know and we'll answer it live. Without further ado, let's get this event started.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Ask Me Anything Cyber, our weekly live conversations where we cut through all the noise and talk about what actually matters in cybersecurity. I am Prapti, and I'm joined today by my co host, Sophie. Hi, Sophie. How are you doing today?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today live.
Yeah, welcome back once again. And this week's session is especially important because we're going to be focusing on cybersecurity hiring market that has changed dramatically over the last 2 years, even more. So what worked for you yesterday might not actually work for you today.
And today we're having a special guest. We're having Stephanie Zavala. She is a cybersecurity recruiter for Lawrence Harvey, and she operates on the other side of cybersecurity hiring, which means that sees thousands of resumes, and she's the one making the decision which one goes first and which one gets tossed out. So today, she's going to tell us actually what matters in cybersecurity hiring and what candidates are wasting their time on. So, we are going to be welcoming Stephanie. Welcome to Ask Me Anything Cyber today. How are you, Stephanie?
Hi, I'm great. Welcome to see. Thanks for having me, and I'm very excited for today.
Thank you for joining us. And this is great to have you here so we can get some insights on how to get hired. So, how is our day going so far?
It's cold. I'm in New York. It's very cold. I wish I was somewhere in the
Yeah.
Mediterranean, or
Well, I heard it was pretty cold in Barcelona too. So let's see. So
Yeah,
everywhere
it's great to meet you
is
too.
yeah,
Um,
everywhere is getting chilled these days. So how long have you been doing cybersecurity recording?
I've been doing this for a very long time. I started out in 2017, so if you believe it, almost 9 years, close to 10. Yikes! I started out doing most of the recruitment in Silicon Valley, stealth startups, working for a small boutique firm. But I feel like I've had the best of both worlds, which is the small niche roles, and then being able to work with larger enterprise clients, Fortune 500 companies, and they all ask for unicorns, but I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. But it is, it's been a long time doing security recruitment, and I love it to this day. It's still very much my passion. I love the community, and it's still a lot of fun, being in recruitment.
Yeah, I bet it is. I mean, you may have met wonderful personalities and some characters out there. I bet.
Including you. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, that's why you're here, right? So let's talk
Exactly.
about this.
Yes, and it's amazing to meet you too, Stephanie. And for the viewers watching, the live chat is open. So make sure that you drop your questions and ask your questions directly to Stephanie and Sophie. They can both give their recruitment experience and tell you what actually matters. And as Sophie mentioned, Stephanie, recruiters see hundreds of resume like every day. Like you see it at least. Some candidates stand out immediately, and some do not even make it past like the first interview. So how do you decide that?
So I think here it's just important to understand that clarity like beats cleverness, right? You don't want to put too many words on your resume that are just not going to make sense. I see hundreds of resumes. Every day, maybe, probably not, but hundreds of resumes a week, and I'm really like scanning for signal, not noise. And this is very important because a lot of individuals tend to think that um, putting all the tools that you've ever used is important. But, sometimes I speak to candidates and I'll be like, oh, you have Splunk on your resume. When was the last time you used that?
Yeah,
And they just aren't able to tell me, or they say, oh, I did it in school. To be honest, that was
Yeah.
probably 3 years ago. Tech
yeah,
really changes, by the month, by the year. So I think it's important that I want to see ownership and impact rather than all the tools that you've used. Like, I want to know, what did you own? What changed because of you in the organization? So it's funny because I always tell individuals, you have about 10 seconds for a hiring manager to look at your resume. And I would say I take at least maybe 30, so double, but it's still very much, I'm looking for signal, not noise.
yeah.
That's great. Actually, I was looking at Reddit the other day, and a few people were asking me, not asking, like asking in general, that what's going wrong with their resume. And I think you summed it up pretty well. Like, it's if they have been using it 3 years ago, it's probably not relevant because everything is changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
So what you knew before, like if you did it in school, probably it was like a one-time workshop you have done maybe for a specific class, and then
Mhm.
it doesn't mean that you actually work with the tool like in a
Yeah.
professional basis. So that
Exactly.
question is key when you ask that, because they tend to name like thousands of tools and they know everything, and then you're like, when you start splitting hairs, you see that. So like
Exactly.
talking about like the gap that we have in the market and how many jobs are out there. Before our call, I was reading like a report from NIST. They are saying that there are like more than 500,000 cybersecurity jobs openings in the US, but only like 74 to 85% are actually being filled. So where, like from where you sit right now as a recruiter, like what actually is causing this disconnect between filling up the jobs and like this gap of like how many people you can find actually to fill up these jobs?
So This might be a hot take, but I don't know if it's actually a talent shortage. I do think that
Mhm.
it's a lot more of a translation problem.
Okay.
And with, the work from home that we had during COVID versus now everyone's going back in office, I think that there is a disconnect from a lot of individuals that want to stay remote. And, they aren't able to move or relocate for personal reasons. So maybe in the fact that in metropolitan areas, the talent did leave. So
Mhm.
in that sense, there might be a shortage problem there. But I do still think, even back in 2017 when I first started, like companies do write unicorn job descriptions. I mean, they
Yeah.
want everything, right? They want everything in one person, and I
Yeah.
think I think you have to be very meticulous about the roles that you apply to, and you really have to think about why you're looking. Something that I ask everyone that I talk to, it's like, what is most important for you to find in your next role? And true and through, every single time they're like, wow, that's a great question. I'm like, wow, you haven't thought about that, have you?
Yeah.
But I think, at the core, I do think it's a translation problem, and that goes back to my answer in the previous question. It's your resume, what it reflects, and what you're looking for. And then also, the metropolitan areas that are asking for in office. I mean, I have several clients right now that are fully on site, some that are 2 to 3 days on site, but this year they're probably going to move to 4. So I think the people that are remote are also at a disadvantage because everyone wants to stay remote. And so
Mhm.
if you have a remote position posted, you are going to get thousands of applications. And then
Applications.
imagine filtering through that noise if
Yeah.
Mhm.
if you don't have a recruiter. Because from my perspective, it is very much, my clients are going to come to me for roles that are hard to fill, and niche skill sets, senior professionals. So they think that a remote SOC analyst is easy to fill, and maybe it is, but you
Mhm.
have to sift through thousands of resumes.
Yeah. So I feel like there's not like a gap between like talent. It may be like a gap between expectations and what the companies are asking for. So if we see like a lot of people, they just want to work remotely, but then the companies are not providing
Yeah.
that opportunity, that's the gap actually, right?
I definitely think it is. I think it's location and your inability to relocate, and then also the client just not being flexible.
Yeah.
There's, I think, a disconnect for certain organizations where they want someone to be on site so badly.
Yeah.
Maybe executives are driving that, and unfortunately, they aren't able to bend for a security professional. I mean, from the organization side, that's putting your org at risk, right? If you
Yeah.
don't have a specific skill set, uh, and you really need it. So there has been, some shift in that, but it is over time. We're talking about maybe 6 months of a role being open, and that's
It,
already
Yeah.
stressful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it reminds me of this one meme that I often see where the job posting when you say translation error, the job posting is for a fresher, but they're looking for somebody with like 5 years plus experience, and it's this meme that we often see going around.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah. They put
100%.
junior cybersecurity position and they are requesting CSSP and Security Plus and like I got
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, wow, I should have been, hacking when I was in kindergarten.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right. True. That's fine. But so for those watching at home or at work right now, if you're applying for roles at this moment, drop the questions in the chat, and Stephanie will be answering them live. And stay tuned because she's gonna be talking about a few openings she has right now at Lawrence Harvey. So, Prapti, you want to go
Yeah,
next?
yeah. Thank you, by the way. I think we have a few chats on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave it and we'll answer them live. So, about resumes, I know that you see 100 of resumes per day, but what makes you actually stop scrolling? If is there a surprise that catches your eye and you immediately take that candidate and put it in a different place?
Okay. I think number one is how you organize your resume. If I open it and it is 10, 12 pages, I'm already shaking my head. I'm like, oh no. I want clear scope and I want visible impact. Those are the two main things that I'm looking for. So I stop when I see certain like decision making bullet points, right? And I look at built, led, reduced, automated, integrated. A lot of those words do matter. And I want to see what your impact was in your, in whatever role you worked in. I don't want to see a lot of noise, which is something that most of the time happens.
Mhm.
I think it's important to also mention that we've all been to school. We can all look at a general like format or template online. Don't pay anyone to build your resume for you.
Yeah.
I hear of consistent people doing that, and I'm just like, it's so much better when it's you, because you know your impact, you know what you worked on, and it's better to put what you personally help build, even if it
Mhm.
wasn't actually you leading it. But a hiring manager wants to know what you did for the organization. Why were you a valuable asset? Why did they keep you for so long? And I think
Yeah.
that's the most impactful on a resume and what really, really clearly stands out for me.
That's great advice. And I would like for you to repeat these four words that you were saying: automation,
Yeah.
integration.
Built, led, reduced, integrated, automated.
Perfect.
Those
5 words.
are, yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that's great because this is a master class. Like, I mean, if you're watching this and you are building your resume, you need to listen to the people who are actually reading your resume and what they are looking for. And I know it's really like exhausting for those looking for a job to have to tailor your resume for every position that you're applying to. But at the end, the reward will be getting the job that you actually are looking for. So it's good to look out for these 5 words that Stephanie just shared with us. And this is like this is something like, for example, for me, that I always struggle like personally, when I'm like interviewing people, and I see like a lot of candidates, they list like a long stack of tools, like, Burp Suite, Splunk, Wireshark, Metasploit, like, like a lot of, like, even now with all the cloud platforms and with AI in the mix, like, but for me it's really hard to see the impact, like behind them. So from your perspective, where do you weigh like breadth of skills between like depth of experience? Like,
Yeah, I do think that depth gets you into a company, and breadth in terms of like skill set actually gets you promoted internally. I think
nice.
if you're going to list a lot of tools, okay, fine, you can list them, but what did you do with them? Did the team
Yeah.
next to you work with them? Were you, looking over their shoulder while they were using it? People want to know what you actually did with these tools. And I think it goes back to my, earlier answer, is that if you worked on a tool once, if it was in a lab environment or an educational, I think it's probably impactful to maybe put that down in your education experience
Mhm.
rather than just all the tools that you've worked with. People want to know what you worked with on the enterprise side in an organization versus education, because I it's just not the same. I want to be real, it's not the same.
Yeah. And would you say that these are the common mistakes that you see? Because they are otherwise qualified, right? I would say if somebody has used so many tools, even if obsolete, and they have certifications and they have some experience. So, what would you say the most common mistakes are?
In terms of the most common mistakes, I think you list tools without an actual outcome. And
Mm.
that, I think, of course, that's my job to vet out. If I see that someone puts, Cortex SOAR on their resume, okay, tell me how you use it.
Yeah.
If I see that someone puts Splunk on their resume, but they are not on the security operations team or the detection team, I'm going to be thinking, How do they use a
Yeah.
SIM? Oh, and then some answers are like, oh, well, I just pull logs from it and then I ship that to another team. I mean, that's
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
want to understand what you're actually doing. So tool lists with outcomes. And I understand that this is sometimes risky because people don't want to put it under their organization. So they don't actually want to say, hey, I've worked at Lawrence Harvey.
Yeah.
We Splunk. I get it. So
Yeah.
be impactful about it and put it in your tool section, but without
Mhm.
mentioning the organization. I led the implementation of Cortex SOAR at several different organizations. I
Okay.
had to integrate it with several APIs for 5,000 users. I mean,
Okay.
that's
Would you
impactful,
have
right?
to disclose that during an interview? Let's say that they get, like, after the resume is accepted and they get to the next stage. Would they have to say that about the company in the interview stage, or would that be something?
I don't think so, but it is impactful. And if you are at the interview stage, I mean, you're talking to another security professional, so I would think
Yeah.
you would already know that you can't use
What's the next
that.
step?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
And
can't
this
use
one's
that
for you.
information.
Yeah, thank you so much for your answer. And this one's for you, Sophie.
Yeah.
You've interviewed quite a few people, and from your experience, what usually separates a good candidate from, the great ones?
Hmm. Well, I mean, honestly, like that's a really hard question to sort of like answer right away. But to actually know who is good or who is bad, because I've seen candidates like surprise me both ways, I could say. Some I thought that they were like amazing in the resume, and when I got the resume on my desk, I'm like, oh, this person is great. I think it's gonna be, and then they fall short. Well, when you, I don't know, you give them a practice test, or even they start working in the company, you see that most of the words on the resume were like hyped, I can say. But then other people, I've seen that they have like a completely average resume, and they blew you away because they are like curious, they are attentive, they are ready to learn new stuff. So it sort of depends on the person itself, not just
Mm,
knowing the tools. So I think like most of the time they are like, what really differentiates me when I talk to them is like the willingness to learn. I can say maybe if I ask like a technical question and they can't
mhm.
answer it right away, and they may like, well, I'm not, I don't know exactly, but I'm definitely like ready to learn what's next on how we can, or to learn about this new tool, or if you know any course that I can do to sort of like
Mhm.
complement. So when I see those type of attitudes, I mean, like, well, this is a person I would like to work with on a team, because
Mm.
this also translates to dealing with a client or dealing with an incident response. Like you see how the person reacts when they are presented with specific issue. In this case, maybe they don't know the tool that well, but they are willing to learn. They are curious, and they are not reactive. Like, oh no, I don't know. I'm sorry. I can help you here. So
Yeah.
those are the things, like
Good.
maybe the resume is not shiny, but the person is sort of willing to take that
To
leap.
explore. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sophie, for your answer. And not just tools, I think sometimes resumes have certificates as well, and they are often debated, right? So, Stephanie, what do you think? Oh, does it actually help a candidate? And if it does, or when does it not help a candidate? Can you give us some insight on that?
Absolutely. I think this is something that's always debated. And I think some hiring managers don't care about certifications. Others definitely do. So I would say that maybe like certifications tend to, open doors, but the proof of you actually leveraging those certifications is what actually gets you hired, right? And Sometimes I think it's also really great when switching domains. If you are more, maybe legal privacy and you want to get more into actually security, some of those might be very relevant. If you're in DevOps and you want to get into security,
Yeah.
cloud security certifications are great. Um, I think if you just have a ton of certifications, but no actual work or projects, whether they be your own or in an actual organization where you're implementing those, they're sort of moot.
Yeah.
Thank you so
And
much for, yeah. You're gonna
yeah,
mention Sophie?
no, I actually like I want to like sort of like it does make sense what you're like mentioning, and because of what you're saying right now, we have more than I can say 6 7 questions on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. They're piling up. So this is it's resounding with a lot of people out there watching us. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that but one of the things that I want to say, like in my experience, and this is goes with my previous question, like I've seen a lot of people like sending to me over like GitHub projects or like write-ups
Yeah.
or hands-on labs, So for me, sometimes like I feel like those make a bigger impact than the certification itself. Because certification at the end is like you study for it and you pass the test and that's good. But when I see like write-ups, like hands-on labs, like I build this application or I build this and I have it on GitHub. For me, it sort of like weights a little bit more on the
Absolutely.
technical part. So for you, that you're just like looking at a white paper, like a page on your screen, like what is weights more, like a GitHub or certifications?
Well, I think GitHub, you do have to be much more technical, right? So I think for the technical users, it's 100% valuable. I think it's a huge signal of you not only upskilling, but you contributing to your community. If I see a GitHub link, I'm immediately clicking it.
Yeah.
Okay, like I'm
That's great.
immediately clicking it. I want to know your contributions. I want to know. And then if I see that those contributions were like 3 years back,
Mm.
I'm like, okay,
Mm,
well, that probably might not look great if you're going for maybe like an AppSec role or a software security role,
Mm-hmm.
right? It just might not signal that you are
not that active.
Yeah.
exactly. But it is a
And
double-edged sword.
yeah,
Yep.
and we actually have a lot of questions on LinkedIn currently. Let's start with Praveen. Praveen is asking, I'm currently exploring opportunities to transition into an ISMS focused role and would really value your guidance. Could you share any advice on the skills, certifications, or experiences that helped you succeed in this area? I'm especially interested in understanding how to position myself for roles in ISMS role. I want to enter into cybersecurity. So it's a fresher. What would you
Yeah.
advise?
Yeah, Sophia, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because this person is going to be transitioning to like a ISMS focus role, I can
Yeah.
see that the smart move would be like, because like governance, risk, and compliance are like sort of like very like like critical in cybersecurity today. So in terms of skills, I will focus on understanding frameworks, for example, like ISO 27001 or NIST framework or any risk management principles, I can say. So, and if you want to complement with the certification, CSSP is the one to go because it's going to help you a lot to transition to this new like role, I can say, right?
Yeah. And there's also another one. I think he's asking if I join as GRC analyst, can I switch to SOC analyst? Oh, how many roles? I think you want to start with ISMS and then now you want to switch the role to SOC analyst. What would be your
Yeah,
advice?
Oof.
yeah.
I think that is up to the person, right? If you
Yeah.
join as a GRC analyst in an organization, you need to make it very clear to your manager that you'd like to be
Hmm.
on more projects that align with the security operations team. If there's any opportunity for you to take on a project or for you to shadow somebody, do it.
Mhm.
But closed mouths
But
don't get fed. Like if you don't
yeah.
say anything.
Mhm. Yeah, and those are like completely opposite, I can say,
Very
between
true.
a GRC analyst and a SOC analyst. Because knowledge-wise, it's. I mean, even though we talk about like cybersecurity risks and like frameworks and whatever not for GRC, for SOC analysts, they do need to know them, but it, they don't
Hmm.
care much because they're gonna involve the GRC analyst if they have an incident or
Yeah.
like some like so it's they're completely different. you can switch from one to another, but it's almost like switching, like you're practicing medicine and you're switching from being a cardiologist and then you want to be a
Yeah,
psychiatrist. So it's like completely different.
it's a big
Uh,
switch.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a big like split between those.
I think between
Mm.
these, there's not a lot of skills that you can transfer over. And I think if you're trying to shift domains specifically into security, you have to look at what you're currently doing and see what type of skills can transfer over into a security related role. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
in a less technical role, like a GRC analyst, you have to see what paths you can take to get you to a technical role. But again, these are completely separate. And in it, switching domains or in switching roles and verticals, you really have to think about what specific skills you currently have that are easily transferable.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I hope this helps you, Praveen. And yeah, let's hope that you get the role that you're looking for. There is another question. I think it's coming from
Abraham,
Darsh.
no, Abraham Flores.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Is work experience required in help desk or IT when applying for entry level cybersecurity? As someone with only internship experience, I don't know if I should focus on certifications or finding work in an adjacent or non relevant field.
Well, I would say that internships and projects are probably your best bet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, help desk or IT definitely helps.
It's
I'm not
entry
going to say it
level.
doesn't. It's entry
Mhm.
level. It's a great way to go into like if you're already in IT, you're already doing some type of security work. You're, troubleshooting, you're doing like single sign-on,
Resetting
SSA.
passwords.
Exactly. So you already have that experience if you have experience within help desk or IT. So if you are looking for that, yes, I would say, help desk IT experience does matter. But with internship experience in security, I would say, definitely leverage that. Make sure that you're saying that it's an internship. Make sure you're saying what you worked on, what you shadowed, and then don't over embellish, but definitely, tell what environments you worked in that internship.
Thank you so much for your answer. I hope this helps you. And let's move on to another question. It's by Darsh. Thank you so much for leaving your questions, by the way. If you have any more questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Of course, we'll answer them right away. He says, I am a master's student in cybersecurity with about 3 to 6 months of internship experience. I have been facing a number of rejections for internships recently and wondering if this is due to lack of certifications. In your experience, do portfolio projects create a bigger impact than certifications when hiring candidates like me?
Hmm.
I mean, yes. I
Yes.
don't think it's lack of certifications, though. You're a master student. If you haven't had any corporate experience, like no one's asking for a CISSP. I mean, you never know. There are those entry level roles that ask for 10 years of experience. However, I think it's not for lack of certifications. That You're trying to get an experience, right? An internship is like
Mm.
entry level experience. So portfolios, projects that you've worked on within your masters, I think that is way more relevant. I will also say if you're looking for an internship, so are thousands of others. So you have to get a bit more like narrow focus on how you're going to get that. Reach out to the talent team, reach out to the hiring manager. We all have LinkedIn's. If you are, looking for internships, it's probably best to go straight to the source.
And I would like to ask a question here. Do you think CTFs, because do they help in situations like these?
I think so. That means you're part of the community. That means that, you're growing your skills. That means that you are engaged and upskilling always because at a CTF, you're going to be with like-minded individuals. And it's also a great place to meet people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your answer. And we have more questions coming in. In terms of resume, thank you, Daniel, by the way, for leaving your question. In terms of resume, when we are competing against 100, 200, or more other applicants, what can we do to get the top of that stack outside of networking? It feels very hard, even when skills and experience are a great match without someone on the inside championing you.
Well, That is a very hard question.
Yeah.
Outside of networking, I think it's important to, again, go to the source. If you're entry level and you're not working with a recruiter like myself, because, as I mentioned, my clients come to me for more senior level talent, it is instrumental to work your way in there. Do they have any, hiring events? Are they part of any organizations? Do they have just any general events? Because sometimes in a metropolitan area, there will be security meetups, right? Um, in terms of getting it in front of the right person, sometimes they have a recruiter attached to the role. Sometimes it tells you who the role reports directly into. And you have to be apt on finding that in either LinkedIn or any other social professional media.
Thank you so much for your answer. And you can keep leaving your questions. We'll definitely be answering them live right now. Another question is by Abhijit, who is talking about considering how quickly AI is changing and new technologies like MCPs are coming out. I am also wondering, do having AI related security projects on my resume even matter anymore? The job market is for fresh graduates has been absolutely brutal lately, and I'm trying to figure out, does like AI security projects matter, or should I be focusing my efforts on showing off something completely different? Yeah, so his entire question is just if he should be focusing on AI projects.
I mean, yes. I think it's the buzzword that everyone is looking
Yeah.
for, and if you have it on there and you can substantiate that with an actual project, absolutely. I think that's going to be important. That's going to show hiring managers and talent teams that you are with new technology.
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of clients are asking for AI security. They want a security engineer who's secured integration of AI tools. So it cannot hurt you. It can only add value.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. And I really believe like hi Abhijit, and I know we have talked about this in the past, but I really believe like the future, like when we are talking about AI, they're gonna go hand in hand. So when you mention like you have worked with AI tools and you are like with what is coming in the future, it shows that you are ready to fill up the upcoming job openings that are gonna be in the next couple of months, I can say, because like all the companies are integrating AI automated tools to monitor, to analyze. So it's good to actually show in your resume that you have working projects. But then again, what Stephanie said, that if you did that as a school project,
Yeah.
maybe like you should mention that. But if you did that as a like internship or even as a personal level, like because you wanted to build a tool, that's a plus.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sophie, for your insight. So it's going to basically help you go shoulder to shoulder with AI. And I think that's a really cool thing. Another question coming from Srihari, and I think we've answered this, but I'll take the question. Would including accomplishments like CTF competition wins make any difference? Also, I write and publish articles on Medium and my portfolio website. So is there a way I can incorporate that into my resume other than simply providing hyperlinks? I think the second part
I
is a
think
very good
so.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so of course provide hyperlinks, but what you can put in terms of like education and other extracurriculars, you can put some of the articles that you've published and then just give a brief overview. I would say maybe like one or two sentences, and then of course put the link on your website for your portfolio website. I think it's don't overdo it because you,
Mhm.
you actually want the reader to take the time to read it, and you want to make it enticing enough so they click on it.
Yeah, and I think it would be great, right, during the interview when they mention about all of these things about the Medium portfolio and they talk about how they did their work. I think that's really helpful. I think Sophie often mentions that in your CTF projects, always have documentation of the work that you do,
Yeah.
because that way it just gives a step by step view on how much you have done. And it's kind
Hmm.
of a great thing.
Yeah.
Another question coming in from Hector. He's talking about no experience but was able to earn CompTIA trifecta and
Yeah.
GIAC EC and GCIH. How can I compete with those with experience?
I think this is one of those instances where you have these certifications, but how are you actually implementing a lot of what you learn, right? Can you do a home lab? Can you go on to some open source projects? How are you leveraging all of these? Because if they are just an alphabet soup on your resume, then and you don't provide breadth on what you are currently doing with them, it is going to be very hard to compete with those with experience.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But I mean, earning like those like
Incredible.
certifications and oh, I'm audible. Yeah, right.
And I said,
Yes,
that's
yes, yes.
incredible. That's incredible
Yeah, yeah,
for.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Like with their experience, is like don't think that it's nothing because that already tells you like not only like you're disciplined, you're serious about the field, and you may have the needed knowledge to fill any cybersecurity position. Now, the certification alone, it doesn't show me as a technical interviewer, I can say, that you can actually perform under real conditions. So it's really important to, even though your first job in cyber is not your ideal job, it will help you like build a step to go to the next cybersecurity job that you're aiming for. So it will give you the experience that companies are looking for in like candidates that may have all the certifications and everything, but we need the experience in the field. So sometimes you have to take something that is not exactly like in your alley or not what you were expecting, so you can build on that experience.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sophie and Stephanie. And I think some of the viewers are reading my mind because I was just about to ask this question. So, what security skills make someone successful on your team in the first 90 days?
That's for you, Sophie.
Yeah. And that's a like I love like people are asking questions that we sort of like thought about them before because
Yeah.
we're here to give like tips. So in the first 90 days or your 100 first days of your presidency, I can say, the people who succeed on my team, I can say that in my experience, are not the ones that mention all the tools on the resume, but are the ones that I can learn fast with the tools that we have internally. Because sometimes when you are interviewing people, you don't reveal exactly how your team actually works, all the extensive like tools that you actually use and everything, because you don't know the person that you're interviewing. So sometimes you need to keep some information inside because you don't know if it's an insider that is trying to get information on how your team works. So we
Mhm.
need to think like split it ways. So whenever you join my team and the first time you get to work with me and learn the tools that we are using, what I really look for is to ask questions fast. Because for me, when you try to like, you are like a little bit like shy and you know, it's your first times that you're working
Yeah.
and you don't want to ask many questions. No, please ask me a million questions because we need you to understand what we're doing here. So for me, that will be the number one skill that I need from like move away from being shy and please don't be afraid to ask any question because we are looking for someone that can help us in the team and you were
Yeah.
selected for that, so that's the skill I'm looking
Yeah.
for.
And I think in that way it's actually good because you're able to communicate what is going on as like to your leader, that hey, this is something that happened, what should I do next? And I think that's a great thing to be happening. And I wanted to ask this because the field keeps changing so fast. Cybersecurity is not what it was a few years ago, especially with AI in the mix and cloud and so many other things happening, so I wanted to ask this to both of you, and Sophie, to you as well. Since you're often requesting roles, what skills or qualities do you now consider essential, with keeping in mind that there's AI and new, bigger giants in the field now?
Yeah. I feel like this question can be also for Stephanie because she may not be requesting the roles, but she may be the one like helping the companies tailor their roles specifically, like helping them how to promote these roles online, right? Because you may be giving them tips as well, right?
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
for this role, or I'm sorry, for this question, what I'll say is that security, in some organizations, I think security is moving from control to actual like context. I think
Hmm.
when you think of major skills, it's definitely cloud.
Mm-hmm.
It's identity, it's detection, it's automation, and like product security. Those are the major themes that I'm seeing across the business. If you are in a financial services firm, cyber risk is very high right now. So
Yeah.
there are certain financial institutions that are increasing their cyber risk function. And then I will say that in terms of AppSec, right, which is essentially product security, um, that is a skill set that is continuously increasing. They want to see somebody that can secure the code, but that also knows the code. So that's
Yeah.
going to be the software engineers that might want to move into security. They're calling for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
That
you.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that gives us a really good view of what people are looking for. And always keep in mind what she said about the resume. You know what Stephanie said? The five magical words. That's probably what they're looking for. What were they again?
Uh,
Led.
Lead.
lead, yeah, build, lead, integrate, automate, and I am reduced. Yes,
Reduce.
Yes.
reduce, like
Yes.
reducing
Yeah.
risk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So keep
Yeah.
them in your mind. Hopefully, it will help you stand out in your resumes. And before we wrap up, what's
Yeah.
the one mindset shift every cybersecurity professional should make before applying for the next role? Stephanie, would you like to lead the conversation there?
Absolutely. So I think when you're applying for a job, you need to be very meticulous about the roles that you're currently applying for, right? If you are a security engineer, but you're mostly focusing on SecOps, or you're doing security tooling, you probably need to apply for those roles. Don't go for something that's like completely, out of your skill set, because you're just probably not going to get the call back. I think it's important for you to understand how to put on your resume, here is my experience, and here is the problem that I can solve for you. Because a lot of these questions that you're going to get in interviews are, what have you done here? And that is going
Yeah.
to translate into, can you fill what they are the gap that they are looking to fill? And I think that's the main thing for everyone that's out there trying to find a new role. Less is more. A 5-page resume for someone that only has 2 years of experience. I'm gonna raise my eyebrow and I'm gonna side eye at you. And
Yeah.
again, you don't have to put specifics about what you've worked on if it's not relevant to the role. And I don't want you to edit your resume for every role, but
Mm.
just be meticulous about what you're, submitting your resume for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about you, Sophie? What do you think about this?
Well, I mean, from my position, I always say like cybersecurity is more about doing. So I'm not hiring people to teach, like to teach them, because that's for school. So you need to break out from that shell, and
Mm-hmm.
join my team. And I'm hiring someone to put out fires. So I need someone with that mindset, and because I feel like most like junior professionals out there, they come with that like mentality that they will be learning and they're going to be like doing this and they're going to have all the time in the world to troubleshoot everything. Well, it doesn't work like that in the real like experience, like with life in real life, because companies are hiring candidates that can help them with like real life like problems with customers or with a product. So they need you to change that mindset. This is not school. You're not here to be learning for a semester. You just need to start putting the fire tomorrow. So that's the one thing that they need to like shift. This is like, you're going to be solving problems. You're not going to be learning here only.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you learn and solve, that's great. As you know, Sophie mentioned, always communicate first. That's a very big thing to happen here.
Yeah.
And for those looking actively, currently looking for jobs actively, could you highlight some of the roles or openings you're currently seeing the most in demand for, Stephanie?
Absolutely. If you go to the next slide, I outlined some of the roles, and these are only in the tri-state area. I do have some other roles across the U.S., but I mostly focus just on the U.S. Because I know that we have individuals across probably the world. I can only have and represent candidates that are in the U.S. with appropriate visas. But open roles in the tri-state area, as I mentioned, cyber risk within financial services is something that we see some companies really upskilling on. Cloud security and security architecture, both within, again, cloud, the major ones, AWS, GCP, or Azure. In terms of detection and response, we do have some SIM SOAR engineer positions. And then I have a role that's very, very hard to fill. This principal security engineer position, this is almost like just, you cannot find this person, right? But, I'm trying. And you see here the theme, 2 to 3 days on site or 5 days.
Yeah.
All are within New York City, which is why they're on my desk, because my clients are like, we cannot find these individuals ourselves. We need someone to go headhunt them.
And that's coming from what we've been discussing, all about like expectations and what people are actually looking for.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you
So
so much,
anybody
Stephanie.
interested in any of these positions, they can send the
Great.
resume to Stephanie. Her information is right here on the screen, or they can reach out to her through LinkedIn, right?
Yes, absolutely. I look forward to hearing from you.
That
Yeah.
was like a great insights that we have from you, Stephanie, and thank you so much for all the knowledge that you have shared with
Yeah.
us. And for all those looking for a job out there, reach out to Stephanie for any opportunity that you might be interested in. And if she doesn't have one, maybe she will be able to refer you to another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do what I
Thank
can.
you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much,
you so much.
Stephanie. And stay warm, and see you on February 11 at your event, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So we're gonna have an in-person event in New York City. So for those interested, please reach out to Stephanie for more details.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for inviting me. And I look forward to the next one.
Yes, of course. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so that was Stephanie, and thank you so much, everybody who has, asked so many questions. It was amazing to see such a huge response from you, and I really hope that Stephanie helped you through it. Remember the 5 keywords that she mentioned, and Sophie mentioned communication being a very big factorial when you're trying to move forward. So keep in mind all of these things, and hopefully you're able to, go as far as you want in your cybersecurity career. And a quick message from our trusted partner, Pact. They have an AI defense event coming up, and there's a 40% off coupon available. This event focuses on real world AI threats, defensive strategies, and what security teams actually need to know in today's day and age with AI and everything on the line. So if you're working in security, risk, or AI governance, this is going to be worth your time. So use the coupon, grab your ticket, and make sure that you don't miss it. And coming up next, don't go anywhere, because we have the Cyber Briefing recap where we break down the week's biggest stories. And here's a quick video to know all about it.
Stay ahead of the cyber curve with real-time alerts, incident reports, and the latest cybersecurity news, all in one streamlined, easy-to-read newsletter. Join more than 20,000 subscribers who rely on Cyber Briefing, available on LinkedIn, Medium, and now on Substack. Don't wait to protect your digital world. Subscribe today and stay informed with Cyber Briefing by Cyber Material.
Hi, Sophie, welcome back. And how are you feeling? Are you ready to dive into all of the biggest cybersecurity alerts for today?
Yes, I'm ready to talk about the three headlines that we have selected for today's event. If you're going to get the full headlines, all of them for this week, you have to subscribe to Cyber Briefing on LinkedIn, Substack, and Medium. We do have it weekly from Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And you're
Yes.
going to be able to find all the other headlines that didn't make it to today's show.
Yeah, yeah.
But the ones that we have selected are very like juicy, and it's very worth of our time to talk about them.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Sophie. And so for first alert, we have cybercriminals are exploiting a WinRAR vulnerability.
Yeah, so I bet everybody at one point of their life they have used WinRAR, even like back in the day, because now we have other tools, but people still use WinRAR. So it's very important to talk about it because they're exploiting like a vulnerability that is available on the software that makes the attackers to take advantage of this app. So what it means for those who don't like probably understand exactly what is happening in the background, it's a malicious file that is crafted in a way that if you open it with WinRAR, they will be able to take control of your computer, and it has a handful code on those files that they will like sort of like take control of your device. So now most people, they have installed it and they don't think about it twice, so it's an like easy target. So it's a perfect example on how like everyday trusted tools, they suddenly become like the doorway for cyber attacks. So we are asking everybody to patch your new like the WinRAR applications that they have right now, or download from verified sources so you don't get like a malicious version of WinRAR.
Yeah, and I think this was actually in our cyber tip as well for the day. So that's why it's so useful for you to subscribe to the cyber briefing, because not just the news, you're gonna get like an actionable tip that you can do and apply right at the moment, and hopefully you're safe out there. And for the next, we have an incident. So we actually were speaking about this. It was about shiny hunters, and you said that
Yeah.
they attacked multiple companies. So what happened there?
So this is not like one incident per se. This is like a combination of multiple incidents that we have included on Cyberbriefing. This is because they have been like revealing every day a new victim on their deep web, dark web website that they have.
Wow.
So we started with Crunchbase on Monday, and later we started with Bumble, and then we have Panera Bread and CarMax and Betterment. So every day they are releasing a new victim. So this is like a compilation of a lot of incidents that we have posted
Yeah.
in only one. So it looks like these they have been on a hacking spree. I can say they were targeting a lot of companies with different industries, and they are known for like stealing a large amount of data, everything from email addresses, passwords to more sensitive information, and then they sell it online. So this
Wow.
is just not one company that's being hacked. It's about like a pattern of attacks that is hitting multiple organizations at once, and it's showing that it's a coordinated attack because they're
Oh,
using the same tactics. And it's like important to like keep an eye, because we know that these are gonna be like happening. So probably tomorrow we're gonna be like knowing other companies that have been
yeah.
victims of these hacks. So before this show, we just also find out that also SoundCloud was also noted on their potential
Wow.
victims. So it's like every day we are seeing these attacks on companies. So it doesn't matter if you're a small company or a big company.
Yeah.
The shiny hunters are out there, and they're like leaking all of this data from your databases.
Yeah. And at least we know that the attribution is for two shiny hunters, and they are doing it. So at least now we'll be able to understand what their tactics are, because there's so many companies being targeted. So hopefully
Very
watch out.
important to build profiles on the threat actors, because it sort of gives you clues on how they operate, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be very helpful because if you see something, you can actually educate your employees or you can tell people about it and make them aware. And finally, for the news, Google has rolled out updates to Android theft protection.
So this is the first time that Android is behind Apple iPhones, I can say, because we always make fun that
Yeah,
iPhone is copying all the features from iPhone, but
Android.
this time it's different. We know that like when you compare like Android to iPhone, we see like the difference in security. So, and we also have like iPhones as a like long standard for
Hmm.
like strong anti-theft features like
Yes.
activation lock, Find My iPhone, which is basically like making your phone useless when it's stolen. So now Android has been like creating a security ecosystem for their devices, and they're rolling out an enhanced theft protection feature for those phones. So
Okay.
any like phone out there running Android 16 or later, they will be able to get these security features on their phone right now. So what they're doing is pretty straightforward. They're like like for example, they're using like if somebody tries to guess your pin or a pattern too many times, the phone
Hmm.
locks and it makes it harder for brute force attacks. So this is one feature that the iPhone already has, and now Android devices are going to have. Also, fail authentication locks, you will be able to toggle it down so users cannot control, like they will be able to control the behaviors on their settings. And it's also expanding what it is identity check, which is requires biometric verification. That's why it's only available for Android 16 and up, to unlock your phone for sensitive applications. For example, if you want to unlock your banking application or
Yeah.
any other like specific sensitive app on your phone, you will be able to use your biometric prompt. And another one, and this is the last a tool they are deploying, is like remote lock, which sort of goes on the same line of Find My iPhone. And you will be able to lock your phone remotely from a browser, and you will
Wow.
be able to also like trigger a wipe down from the browser directly. So this is great news. Android is catching up and on terms of security, and essentially it's gonna be like harder for thieves to actually resell your phone, because it will be completely locked. So it
And
sort of
protected.
remains,
Yep.
yeah. So that also is gonna reduce the amount of like phones stolen
Mm-hmm.
to be resell, or right, to be
Yeah.
resold and everything. So
And
that's
the
a good
data would be safe. I have a question for the audience watching us. What do you prefer? Do you prefer iPhones or do you prefer Android? Let us know in the comments because I know that this is just a question that everybody has been debating for years. So let us know your preference in the comments and tell us why exactly do you prefer, whether it's Apple or whether it's Android. Before we wrap up, a quick shout out to Echo Party's call for papers in Miami. If you're doing some interesting work in cybersecurity, whether it's research or anything else, Echo Party, they're getting their papers submitted. So if you want to push the boundaries a little, you can go ahead and submit your idea, turn it in, talk, and submit. Just talk about it. Don't procrastinate on it. The deadlines are coming up, so don't sit on the idea. And thank you again, Sophie, for joining us today. And such a nice event turnout we had today. It was nice.
Mhm.
And just to remind you that we are here every Thursday. So, and I'm very excited to announce that on the upcoming event, we have Pratik, who's going to be talking with us about inside the mind of a hacker. And he will tell us how attackers think, operate, and adapt to today's, threats, and with AI and all of the big giants, how attackers are really looking at it. So we're going to learn all about that coming February 5th. So see you Thursday.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for our next Ask Me Anything Cyber, a fun, interactive weekly event for everything cybersecurity. Join us every week at noon Eastern Time for another high-energy recap of the week's biggest cyber stories, from data breaches and threat intel to major legal updates. Whether it's a high-profile hack, a new APT on the rise, or a must-attend summit, we've got it covered. But that's not all. We'll also break down the latest job market trends, share our thoughts on cyber stocks, and give you actionable insights to stay ahead. And of course, we wrap things up with what makes this show special, live Q&A with you. Have a question about a breach? Want to know how a threat works? Curious about getting started in cyber? Let us know and we'll answer it live. See you next week.